Hi guys, I'm Tracy. Thank you for joining me today. So in today's video, I put together a little rundown of my eyeliner brushes. So I have a few different shapes here that I use to line my eyes. So for me personally, it's very important that I have good liner brushes, and mainly because I don't use eyeliner. I only line with eyeshadow. I feel like when I was using eyeliner, it was so difficult to remove. The process of rubbing and taking it off wasn't good for my eyes. And I feel like sometimes it could cause like little infections, like irritation on my eyes. So I pretty much stopped doing that for the most part. So I have a bunch of liner brushes right here. So these are all the brushes that I use to line my eyes. I'll give you guys just a fast lineup, and I know you're gonna say like these aren't all liner brushes, but I do use non-liner brushes to do that. So let me go over those first. So first, and I went over this brush when I did my top 5 brushes, like if I could only keep 5 brushes, and I mentioned the Hakuhodo J5529. I'm also going to bring up the Rephr 13 because I actually think the Rephr is a little better than the Hakuhodo at lining because the hairs are a little stiffer, they're not as silky, and they pick up a little bit more powder than the Hakuhodo one, but I like the Hakuhodo for blending a little better. But specs wise, they're pretty identical. The Rephr might be slightly flatter on top, but either one, if you have either one of these brushes, I actually saw that the J5529 is out of stock, which is very rare for Hakuhodo and for this brush. But I use these pretty much when I'm doing like the deepening out this area, and I happen to have that dark shadow, and I put kind of like a light layer on the lower lash line because that's what I'm doing already. But it's not going to give you a very heavy or precise level of pigmentation. It's just kind of lightly get that color on there, but I like that as well as a precise line. So you could use one of these to line, and then another brush. I'll bring up the actual liner brushes at the end because maybe those are a little bit less exciting for those of you who might already have liner brushes. The other kind of brush that I use are these, like, these are technically packing brushes, but you see how flat they are and how short the hairs are. So that makes it very, these hairs are not very flexible. I mean, this one, the Sonia G, maybe this one really is pretty stiff. So you kind of want something that's not as flexible if you want a more heavier precise line. And I have b-roll of me using the Builder 3, and this is actually one of my favorite brushes to line with. It's dyed goat hair, so it does pick up a lot of product, so it's gonna produce a very strong level of pigmentation, and it's going to provide a pretty thick line. It's not going to be super precise like a pointy pencil brush, but it is precise enough to the point where it doesn't look like a mess. It really just puts a shadow where the brush goes, and because of the pickup of this brush, it's actually a builder brush, so it's meant to build up pigment on the top of the upper eyelid, I believe, but I think it's great for the lower lash line. If you're someone that really likes a pretty defined or a very strong lower lash line, I think this would be a really good one, as well as the Rephr number 2. This is a little bit more affordable, but I do think both of these are great choices. All right, so if you're looking to maybe order from Visage, now they're having a sale, I highly recommend this Artist 6-8. It's one of their most inexpensive brushes. It's made out of horsehair, and it's kind of like the Sonia G Builder 3 that I was talking about, except it's much smaller. So I like this for packing shadow on the inner eyelid and then the bottom, like doing the like the inner corner and lining here. But it's really good for lining. I'm pretty sure this is a packing brush, but if you want like a smaller liner brush that kind of works like the Sonia G and you want a smaller one, this is a really good option to get. Okay, then we're going to talk about, this is the only brush, it's very unique. It's the Sonia G flat definer, and I think this was one of my very first Sonia G brushes, and I didn't really take to it right away. I'm not sure why, but I've been trying to incorporate this into my makeup routine more. I have some B-roll to show you guys. So it's very flat, as the name would suggest. It's a flat, very tapered liner brush. So if you can see there, it's pretty much, I mean, this one and the next one I'm going to show is like they're my flattest, most tapered, like flat as far as this way goes, liner brush. And in fact, you know, I'm going to just include the Hakuhodo G5513 because it's kind of the same idea. As you can see here, they're both very, you know, flat, very fine, and the Sonia G is made of dyed goat hair and this one is horsehair. So they're actually pretty similar in size. The Sonia G is a little longer and a little wider, but not by a lot. And I use this one to line today, line on this side. And what I find is it doesn't, I mean, how am I going to say this? Because I know like it works differently for different people, but I feel like this didn't provide like a super strong, like pigmentation, but it is a very, it's a very specific, I'm trying not to say like defined line, but it's a very specific brush. The thing that I think prevents me from using this as much as I should is I feel like the silkiness, this is a very silky brush and it's pretty flexible. I just don't feel like it picks up enough pigment to make that really dark, you know, really darken the lower lash line as much as I thought it would. But it provides kind of like a medium application, and I know probably some of you are thinking, well, no, it works differently for me. I just have not used this that much. I just started recently using it a couple of days ago, so I'm kind of getting to know this still, but I'm not counting it out. I'm not putting it into storage, but it's not going to be it's not going to provide a really dark line like the Builder 3. And it's going to provide a medium precise line, if that makes sense. So it's very different. But I also want to talk about the G5513. I ignored this brush for a long time, but I've recently found a use for it. And for the Pat McGrath Ritualistic Rose palette, so I got this, I don't know, like her last sale maybe 2-3 months ago. And I was really excited for it because these are her special shades. But as far as the formula goes, it's just not what I was expecting. And then I watched another channel and she said these are all baked formulas. So it's going to be, they're dry and they're pretty hard. So it's really hard to pick up with a brush such as this. But this one picks up the pigment beautifully. And I've been really enjoying it for this particular palette. Okay, and now, all right, hi. As I was editing, I realized I didn't have demos of the Chikuhodo, the Artist 6-8, and the Hakuhodo G5513. These two, I mentioned them briefly, but let me show you guys how I've been using this one to line, because this is not your standard liner brush. And I hope this comes out. So that's how I've been using this brush. And I just love how it draws, you know, a pretty intense line, but it's very fast and it's very comfortable for me to use this as a liner brush. Now I'm going to show the Hakuhodo G5513 to do like this inner part of my eye and kind of line this part, which is really how I've been using this brush recently. I'm using the Voyeuristic Vixen Pat McGrath palette. I'm picking up this like gold shimmer shade. So these shadows, they can be a little difficult to pick up. So that's what I've been really liking these little brushes for. So hopefully you guys can see that. I'll put like this like lighter shade here just to give it a little bit more sparkle. Alright, so that's really all I wanted to add. I have three like your traditional pencil brushes right here. The one on this side, the biggest one, is the Z10 from Chikuhodo, which I don't use that much. This is the Wayne Goss number 5, and this is the Rephr number 3 right here. I do prefer these two over this one. I like them all, but these two finer ones provide the most precise and most defined darkest line for me. So if you're someone that likes a really, you know, just kind of like a subtle dark line on the lash line, and you want to use something that really a really heavily pigmented product, these are probably your best bet. This one is made of gray squirrel hair, so it's not going to provide a very heavy coverage. It's going to provide a very soft line, and if you want it to create a very, if you want it to be very dark, you're going to have to build up with this brush, and it is pretty flexible. This is good for very sensitive eyes. So if your eyes water very easily when you're lining them, I would say this is a really good one to go for. Okay, so that's really all I had. I really wanted to put something up this week. Hopefully this helps you guys if you're shopping these sales that are going on now, if you're looking for a liner brush. And that's really all I have for today. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.